Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome to another Critical First Impressions video where I take a look at a new game or something that's in early access or even something from the past and bring it up to date. The game I'm looking at today is called EarthFall, the Early Access Edition. I'll be giving you my raw initial thoughts and let you guys know whether or not I'll be reviewing this game in full once it is fully released. So, to start things off, this game is pretty much exactly like Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. It's very, very similar in design, in execution, in concept, except there's one, or at least a couple, of big changes. The first big change is that they're not zombies, but instead are aliens. However, it still does have the same kind of enemies. You have your basic swarm, which are the biggest amount of aliens you're going to be shooting at, and they just kind of swarm you on foot and try to slash at you with their claws and things like that. Pretty much like the zombies in Left 4 Dead 2. And then you have your special aliens, which spawn rarely, but oftentimes do more damage than their basic swarm counterparts, and can quickly disable you by either pouncing on you or grabbing your head and walking away, or it just can do a lot of damage to you. You have one which is literally like a giant bubble of toxic gas, and then if you blow it up, you have this like big AoE area that you need to stay out of. And then you have one that's basically this tank, and he can like shoot fireballs at you and slap you around, kind of like a beefed up version of the Left 4 Dead tank. And so far, given the game's early access state, you will be fighting in basically one campaign. However, you can play online, you can play with your friends, and you can even play solo with a bunch of AI bots. It's the same standard 4-person setup. You have like 3 guys and 1 girl, and they all talk to each other and have relatively interesting dialogue, and they call out the various items that they see in the world, or they'll say things like pills here or medkit here. I mean, not pills, they have more like a booster shot instead, but they'll call out what they see, and it does remind me of Left 4 Dead in a good way, not so much as a copy, just like their own interpretation of that useful call-out system from this type of subgenre of a game. The currently one campaign that you will be playing through is called Invasive Species, and its description is: Earth has fallen and humanity is no longer at the top of the food chain. Lead your resistance fighters, which, I mean, they're more just like regular people, through the rural Pacific Northwest to learn the fate of a lost R&D team investigating the alien invaders. And you've got 4 different chapters in that one campaign: supply run, breakdown, data recovery, and radio silence. And then they say that the second campaign and more will be released throughout the early access period, with presumably more campaigns to come. In terms of what is here, though, it's fairly well done. I'm running the game maxed out at the high settings that it allows. It does run on the Unreal 4 engine, so aspects of the game do look pretty good. The aliens look fairly detailed, the characters are detailed, the environments are realistic, but not overly realistic. The environments definitely aren't as good as some other Unreal Engine 4 games that I've seen. It, to me, kind of reminds me as if they took Left 4 Dead, and by took, I mean adopted their art style, that game's art style, and made it a lot more modern on a more modern engine. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, I feel like they could have made it a little bit more unique by adopting a slightly different art style other than the ones that we've seen for these kinds of games so far. But, I mean, that's just a minor nitpick. What a bigger nitpick would be the performance. This game does not run well on my system, which is fairly modest. You know, I've got a quad core that goes up to 3.1 gigahertz. It's an i5, a relatively newer one. And then I've got a GTX 1060, 16 gigs of RAM, an SSD. You know, for all intents and purposes, this game should be running a lot better than it is. But the fact of the matter is I can't hit 60 frames per second on average most of the time. Even when I lower my settings, it still struggles to effectively raise my frame rate. Now, I understand, it's early access, so they probably don't have a lot of optimization. But the good thing is, with Unreal Engine 4, I know it can get fairly optimized, so I'm hoping to see some optimization in the coming months for this title. But if you want to play it right now and your system doesn't sound anything close to mine in terms of hardware, then I would probably wait until that optimization actually happens. In terms of gameplay, you have a main weapon and then a side weapon, as well as grenades, and then your 2 healing items. All the characters are relatively the same, it's just more of a difference of skin color and race and gender. And as you explore the world, you'll find various pistols, which you can dual wield, which is cool. You'll find melee weapons, you'll find assault rifles, you'll find shotguns, and you'll find a variety of other unique weapons that you haven't seen in a game like this too, which is kind of nice. I feel like they might also have the opportunity to incorporate some alien technology into these weapon drops. You can find like alien weapons. That's not necessarily in the game yet as far as I can tell, but I think that would be something really cool because, I mean, they're aliens. They've come from another world, another galaxy maybe, or even another solar system, which would take some very advanced technology. So from a lore perspective, alien weaponry would work out. Another difference between this game and the Left 4 Dead series is that this currently doesn't have any multiplayer outside of co-op. It doesn't have a mode where up to 4 other humans can play as the aliens, where their goal would be to stop the other human players from getting to the end of the level. This kind of feature is currently not in the game, nor do I know if it will even ever show up, which kind of stinks in my opinion because a game like Left 4 Dead, that versus mode is what made Left 4 Dead for me. It's why I put 1,000 hours into Left 4 Dead 1 and 500 hours into Left 4 Dead 2. And I could easily see myself putting that much time, if not more, into this game if they had that feature, as well as, 4 to 10 different campaigns to roll through, as well as modded content, the ability for modders to create their own campaigns and voiceovers. That would be excellent. We could literally turn this into Left 4 Dead 3 but with aliens. And for me personally, I would be okay with that, because I have always wanted a Left 4 Dead 3. And since it doesn't really seem like it's on the horizon, at least as far as I can tell, this game, EarthFall, could easily fill in that spot in my heart that Left 4 Dead once held. But this game is early, and there's a lot that they're going to have to work on and improve and just plain out put into the game for it to get to that point, at least to me. And that is especially true in regards to the very frequent connection issues I was getting when trying to quick match into other games with other real-life players. It wasn't hard to actually find a match. I only had to search for 2 or 3 seconds and then bam, I was put into a game. But getting disconnected 4 times within an hour of playtime is not very fun, and it definitely hurt the progression that I was trying to get out of this campaign, but I never really made it past the first 2 chapters because I would disconnect and then try to join another game, and it would put me back in either the beginning or the second area again, and presumably I would assume that other players were having very similar issues. So I actually haven't seen past the first 2 chapters because of this particular problem, but I'm hoping in the coming weeks and months that that will be fixed, more so than anything else. Because at the end of the day, this game has a lot of promise, and I look forward to commenting more on this game in the future as it develops and as it fully releases, where I feel this game could give Left 4 Dead a run for its money. But at the end of the day, warts aside, is the game fun? Actually, yeah, it is. I very much enjoy it, and since I don't own Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2, I feel right now this suffices somewhat. And 2, will I be reviewing this game in full later on once it's either released or complete? And yes to that as well. Probably in a few months, I would imagine, when the game is more feature complete and less buggy, I will review it again in full in a worth your dime video. And I'll let you guys know whether, well, it's worth yours. So in the meantime, let me know what you think of EarthFall in the comments down below of what you've seen so far. Have you played it? Let me know in the comments. We'll have a discussion about it. I think that would be pretty cool. If you enjoyed the video and would like to see more critical first impression as well as worth your dime and worth your time videos, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of them. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you look forward to future videos, and I will catch you next time. Here they come! Hey! Friendly fire, ain't! Gotta reload! Did it. Now find a wheel. This wheel looks like it'll work! The van's all wheeled up. Let's get it to the garage and finish the job.